Welcome to Political Bedlam. We're going to keep it light this week. You heard us talking a little bit about Transformers. You heard Cass's African-American accent.
Very racist.
Yeah, very racist.
Very stereotypical.
Yeah, it sounds...
It's a shame you wanted to run for office.
Yeah, it sounds like you got issues, man.
We'll flesh them out here. That's what we're doing here.
Me and Reese will talk
I'm
about
having
it.
an ulcer. I'm developing an ulcer right now.
Me and Reese will talk about it after the show, but I really don't think we want to record a podcast with the bigot.
Well, I'm fine with it. I think
you're okay.
There's a good chunk of America, I think, that are bigots, and we need to hear their voice as well. And I mean, how better to get it than from a tempered friend?
They like.
You're gaslighting me. What's happening right now is called gaslighting.
No, I think gaslighting only applies when they're crazy.
I don't know what that means either.
It means whenever you try to make someone seem like they're crazy in an argument to discount their argument.
I mean,
if you said bigots need a platform, and that triggered me deep down inside.
Oh, well, they do.
So we're here with Reese, Chandler, and Trigglypuff. We are doing a podcast. Trigglypuff, what do you got going on this week?
Excuse me, my name is Alan Holmes, and Alan Combs.
Oh, okay.
That's what's happening right now. You're Alan Combsing me.
Yeah, I'm Alan Combs. Just remember that guy with the glasses that looks like Droopy Dog that Sean Hannity used to just beat up on his show forever ago?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how I feel this week.
Yeah. So
I'm also exhausted and gonna die at 66, but that's unrelated.
Put you at 56.
Oh, thanks.
We'll after the show.
Do you know what you're going to die of?
I imagine if it's not on the battlefield, it's gonna be
66 on the battlefield.
I'm gonna go ahead and tell you it's not gonna be the battlefield.
It's not gonna be the battlefield. We all know it's not gonna be the battlefield. No, I just always I've since I was a little kid, I thought I was gonna die at 46.
Okay.
I don't know why. I don't know what.
That sounds more right.
Well, so have you just adjusted for inflation and now it's 66? Is that?
No, I wish. No, that's always been in the back of my head, and I don't believe in. I hope it's not like a self-fulfilling prophecy or anything.
Yeah. How would you just be super paranoid the entire time that whole year? Yeah. I've always felt like I was going to die in my 40s because I felt like the 40s was when you were old. When I was younger, when you were 40, you were old. And now that I'm 25, I'm like, I mean, I'll try to keep going, once I hit that. But I do feel like that's kind of the downward slope. And even granted, medical science is going to keep us alive when we're 95 at this point or whatever, continuing the trajectory of how fast we're getting better at that kind of stuff. But I don't think those are going to be comfortable years, right? There's going to be way too many old people crammed into way too small of a space, just hooked up to machines that.
Oh, you think they're going to save a machine for you? That's cute.
Well, I mean that,
not
or
not just for the hyper rich.
Well, you guys are dumb. You didn't have kids, so you don't have any organ donors.
Yeah, I mean, we could get cloning technology. I'm going to have the money for that. So I think, yeah, I'll be okay. I'll just get whatever liver, lung thing that I need and just get that retransplanted to myself.
I wasn't vaccinated and I'm a vegan, so I'm going to live forever.
You were vaccinated?
I was very vaccinated.
Okay.
That was a joke.
I was
I'm also
say,
not
look
a
at
vegan.
him.
I feel
He's definitely on the spectrum. Those vaccines did their number.
Jeez, no, that's not. You have to cut that out.
We're going to keep that.
No, well, we were taking. Yeah, I was getting kind of itchy for a second because that actually legitimately scares me. That kind of thing. I feel like that if we're going to talk about how we're actually going to die, if how the world's going to end, I guess. I think that's one of the possible ways. Just some kind of ridiculous
vaccine that puts us all on the spectrum.
Yeah, well, that or I guess some kind of someone who didn't get vaccinated, and then that just breeds some kind of super virus that's immune to all other vaccinations.
I'm having trouble following. Are you pro or anti-vax?
I'm pretty pro-vax.
Oh, okay, all right.
No, there's
okay, I gotcha.
Okay.
I gotcha. Sorry, no, that was on me.
Okay, no, I was just I don't understand how they became demonized. I guess
the fake study got put out.
There was one. That's what I don't understand is how that got so much traction.
People
right?
who had a platform. That's why it's dangerous to give certain people platforms. People who had a platform got a hold of this study and started preaching it, and then it became some sort of weird pseudo-hippie gospel. That is why if you have the power to deny someone evil a platform, you deny it.
But people who had a platform, do you mean Jenna Jameson? That's the only one I can think of.
Not Jenna Jameson, Jenna McCartney.
Either or.
No, there was a celebrity push. There was a bunch of I wasn't alive. I mean, I was alive, but I wasn't paying attention because I lived in a sane home where I was vaccinated.
Where you were vaccinated, yes.
Actually, my mom is like on the cusp of being an anti-vaxxer. She's like, I understand why people are afraid. So
I mean,
there's a slightly different universe where I was not vaccinated.
I in the same way that people are afraid of any other propaganda, I suppose. I don't know. Like it seems unbeneficial to
chemtrails, man.
Chemtrails. I mean, yeah. Hey, I still don't quite understand the conspiracy theory behind that. What is that? Just like a massive amount of pollution?
No, it's that planes, that stuff you see.
No,
planes
yeah. But like, why is that so
chemicals.
terrible? Why, I mean, they're just like fake clouds that follow planes.
Just water vapor, exactly.
Well,
That's all they are.
They think it's chemicals of some kind.
Well,
That control the population.
I see. Is that how they're putting it into our water supply? Turning the frogs gay?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly how they're turning the frogs
plastics
gay.
are turning the frogs gay.
Is it the plastics? Because the plastics are in our systems too. All those little like tiny pieces of plastic that have like infiltrated our water supply.
The funny thing about that is that like, I mean, of course he's Alex Jones, and if you throw enough stuff against the wall, you'll eventually get something right. He's not entirely wrong about that. Like all the plastic in the water has been like raising estrogen levels and lowering testosterone levels in natural frog populations, but it's not turning them gay.
Yeah. I mean, because Jurassic Park taught us that like the frogs have an ability to switch their gender at will, right? Like if they're all female. Do you remember that?
I don't know if I
That
saw
was
that.
Yeah,
So
in the first Jurassic
I
Park.
thought it was seahorses.
No, it's frogs.
Seahorses, male seahorses carry the
with
baby.
the dinosaurs.
Okay. I'm going to have to cut a lot of that out. I know that horsey evolves
I
into
did not
Seadra.
curse one time. You don't know how hard that was for me not to curse. None of those are curse words.
I'm just going to end up scrapping whole minutes of this podcast. This is what happens when we have just no structure whatsoever.
I have a
We were
question
keeping it
for
casual.
everybody. I have a question for everybody.
George Carlin, 7 Dirty Words. That's the answer to your question.
It's close, but it's not. My question is, what is your favorite 80s cartoon show? Right off the top of your head, don't think it. And you're not hold to this. It
Well,
changes
no, I have to
later.
think about what's 80s, because, I mean, we didn't grow up in the 80s.
No, exactly. That's what makes it interesting.
He-Man.
Well, He-Man was 80s.
I'm going to say Flintstones. The Flintstones.
That Flintstones is 50s.
Really?
60s.
Wow.
They lasted a
Surely
long
they
time.
made the Flintstones. Okay, I want to.
They probably aired it in the 80s.
Okay, yeah.
But then that's not wrong.
I can't think of what was made in the 80s though.
Our
Think
producer,
really buff homo
Not
man. I keep saying that to Cass at work, and he keeps saying stop saying
it makes
that.
me uncomfortable in front of my coworkers.
But I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong.
No.
Thundercats is another one.
See, I wasn't a huge. I don't know. I wasn't really allowed a childhood. So.
Astro Boy is also the 60s.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Damn. You know your cartoon history. What's your favorite 80s cartoon?
Off the top of my head, my gut is to say Transformers,
Okay.
but if I was to really sit down and think about it, probably Voltron.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with The Simpsons for me. It was late 80s.
It's 1989, so you're not technically wrong. I hate your answer because obviously The Simpsons. If
Yeah,
we can
actually,
do that,
yeah,
then
The Simpsons
obviously
won
The
everything,
Simpsons. That's kind of like saying your favorite 90s TV show is
South
SpongeBob
Park.
because it's 1999, even though the show is predominantly cultural relevant in the aughts. So you're cheating, but I get it. And if that's the metric we're using, then
Wow.
yeah, The Simpsons is my favorite 80s
I think
cartoon.
if you gave the answer of SpongeBob, what was your favorite?
All right, favorite
Cartoon
90s
90s
comedy,
is still
and
wrong.
there is a right answer.
Favorite 90s comedy?
Mm-hmm.
Sex and the City.
I'm guessing your right answer is Seinfeld.
No, not anymore. It was.
It was, but then he saw the light, and he's come over, and can I offer you a sherry, Chandler?
You can't. Thank you, Niles.
I actually really liked Will and Grace too. Will and Grace was hilarious.
Gross.
No, Will and Grace.
No, I'm
teasing, I'm teasing.
My mom was really pissed off at me for watching that so much when I was a kid. My mother, very, very conservative Christian. She drug me to church every Wednesday, Sunday, and Saturday. And so, like, she thoroughly tried to indoctrinate me. That's right, Drink Up Boys, you remember too. And yeah, no, I just
Probably not.
I just fought it so hard. I couldn't
I actually had a pretty positive church experience.
I enjoyed church up until I saw how much, political strife there was in the church, right? Like, as the church got bigger, it became more of a boys' club that I didn't understand. So, like, I don't know. I just wanted to, like, hang out and make friends, right? But, like, I hit a ceiling when it came to, like, working for the church, and I thought that was kind of odd. So, I don't know. Disenfranchised at a young age, I guess.
Well, Cass is a Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Practicing.
Mom, I'm a practicing Catholic.
There you go.
So-
There you go.
I'm what you call a holiday Catholic. I don't go as often as I should, and I won't get into specifics about what I actually believe and don't, but for all intents and purposes and for cultural purposes, I'm certainly Catholic.
Well, that sounds like a recipe for skipping purgatory and going straight to hell, Cass.
Well, that's not how purgatory works, so...
I'm not Catholic, I don't know. All I know is
asking for
stereotypes.
forgiveness when you're on the toilet. It sounds real easy.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
But you're
the one who joined it. I mean, don't get mad at me because my process is easier.
I like to think I would have the integrity not to do that. Even if I am like on my deathbed, unless there is some ridiculous amount of chemical coursing through my brain, I don't think I'll be calling out for forgiveness.
You might be.
Maybe.
I don't know.
A lot of people.
I could see myself intellectually finding it comforting to be given last rites. However, I don't think that's a super important thing when you're dying.
Yeah.
But I do see the...
You won't go to Valhalla if you don't get last rites.
Well, that's how Catholicism works.
Yes.
So
you won't be among the honored warrior dead. So
no. So
you have to be holding a sword, I think, too.
Do you?
I'm pretty sure you have to be holding a sword.
Does it translate into modern times? Could you be holding a rifle?
Probably, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Or maybe pepper spray.
And a novelty Captain America shield from Party City.
That works.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just use it to bash someone's head or something.
If you can kill someone with that, you've earned your way into Valhalla.
So we've got 2 Frasers and a Will and Grace.
I don't even think he's fully Will and Grace. I think he just said that.
He just said that.
Will and Grace was a great show.
I know you appreciate it, but
was it a great show or was it just controversial?
No.
I've never laughed at Will and Grace.
Really?
I've laughed at Karen, but not Will and Grace.
Megan Mullally is
Megan Mullally is an American treasure. She's and her
really
and Nick Offerman need some more projects
right.
together.
I had no idea that they were a couple up until I heard about Nick Offerman.
But it makes perfect sense, right?
I guess.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
They're both like the...
He makes some joke about doing a lot of cocaine and puzzles with his wife. That is the most endearing joke I've ever heard about a couple. So...
Well, they're both the breakout characters of their respective shows. They're both character actors. They're both really funny. And she's Oklahoman, so she gets 10 points in my book.
Yeah, absolutely. Without question.
And he understands the value of sometimes not having a beard, which I feel like a lot of people who grow beards, the 3 of us have beards, but...
Ish.
Oh, no, I shaved
I have
mine.
a beard-ish.
You have a beard-ish.
Ish.
You have a
He has
full
a beard.
Yeah, I just
It's
don't
short,
like
but it's a
shaving.
beard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like having a beard, but I have to have some facial hair because I shave my head, and if I shave everything, I look like a monster.
Okay.
But with it, I'm very soft and relaxing and comforting. But without it, I just look very aggressive, like a Bond villain.
I can see that, yeah.
So.
That would be fun.
Oh, everyone's favorite Bond.
Oh. Oh. Which era?
Well, that's what I'm asking.
You gotta pick.
Okay.
I'm asking your favorite Bond actor. I'm sorry, I should have been clear.
For me, who has...
Daniel Craig, without question.
I like Daniel.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like Daniel a lot. I don't think there's anyone of them I don't like.
The style and the acting... Well, Timothy Dalton. We don't
Roger
like.
Moore was weird.
I love Timothy Dalton. Roger Moore is so much fun. I mean, my favorite is Sean Connery.
For style and acting is Sean Connery, but Pierce Brosnan looks like Bond.
For what he had to work with, like Sean Connery, I mean, he still kind of is James Bond, right?
But Pierce Brosnan looks like it to me.
He does. Pierce Brosnan was cool. Like he played. I think he was the perfect transitionary Bond, right?
Well, he was our Bond for when we were growing up. So remember, we have nostalgia goggles.
We were
for him.
kids.
Goldeneye and The World Is Not Enough.
I don't know if he was our Bond.
But we know Pierce Brosnan through the video games.
Right. Yeah. I wouldn't say he's our Bond because I mean the movies that came. I think 2001 was the last movie that came out with Pierce Brosnan in it. We were
my first Bond movie was a Brosnan movie.
I'm
a little older than you guys though.
Well, the first one I saw reruns on Thanksgiving, and those.
The first one I saw in theaters was Brosnan. The first one I saw was Connery.
I never saw Brosnan in theaters.
I saw Die Another Day.
Have you guys ever seen that movie The Rock with Sean Connery?
Which is a secret sequel.
Yeah.
I know, right?
The James Bond movies. Yes.
That is Michael Bay's only good movie.
I didn't realize
The Lincoln Lawyer's not bad.
What is?
The Lincoln Lawyer.
I didn't know that was Michael Bay. I've never seen it, but I didn't know that was him. How does he fit helicopters into that? How does he get his helicopters into the Lincoln Lawyer?
He doesn't. He just allows Matthew McConaughey to be Matthew McConaughey, and that's enough.
I can just picture him spinning around in his office
I
really
was
fast
chopping
at
down
sunset.
cherry trees before it was cool.
Director Brad Furman?
That is not Michael Bay.
Yeah, those are two whole other
Well,
people.
I'm totally wrong about that. There was a series I think that there's something I'm thinking of that's like really stands out in his lineup and it not being just trash.
I appreciate that we have a fact checker here.
Yeah, we need
So
to.
that whenever we're talking about seahorse reproduction, we can really get all the facts straight.
Okay, everyone's favorite
All
movie
right.
about World War II.
Everyone, we're going to have to pause. Our guest is here. It's stop.
Saving Private Ryan.
No, I love America.
But
I used to have this friend. Are we recording? Then I will not tell that story.
Is it because, well, what happened to the friend? You said you used to have the friend. Are you not friends with him anymore?
No, I'm still friends with them.
Okay.
I just framed it like that because it sounded more nostalgic and people dig.
It's kind of the Mitch
nostalgia.
Is that a
Hedberg thing. I had a friend, but I still have him too.
Yeah.
Oh, we used
Still
to have
have
Mitch
him,
Hedberg.
Oh,
Wow.
Had to go there.
Mitch Hedberg is a lost American treasure.
Do a Robin Williams joke.
So much we have to edit.
No, I didn't keep all that in. Dead comedians are okay.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Carlin.
We got Jeff in here. Jeff Levy from our intro episode. Jeff is looking nice. What'd you come from doing?
Oh, just hanging out watching kids.
You wear button ups and you,
Well, no,
you
I'm
do your
coming on.
hair
I'm
nice?
coming on the show.
Okay.
I gotta look nice.
I mean, you got me wearing.
They've always told me I had a face for radio, so I figured I'd dress the part.
I got dad flip flops that are size too small, and Reese is wearing a Rick and Morty shirt.
Yeah.
We're not really super nice.
It's hot.
Yeah, it's a little hot. We got the fan on.
I'm embarrassed because I'm wearing ankle socks and I have no-show socks, but I didn't wear them because I just got back from work, and so I'm super embarrassed
Is that okay?
Guess we can see your socks.
because you can see my socks.
I
yes.
wasn't. I
I
was
have,
gonna
I
say
have the
something.
same. I have the same
No.
thing. If it makes you feel.
I feel
Oh,
it makes
are
me
you
feel a
wearing
little
socks,
better.
Actually, now
No.
that we're pointing those things
Nope.
out. Okay.
Exactly.
Is it because you were
I-
afraid
I-
to show your socks?
Showing socks is a sign of
no-show
weakness.
socks.
Is it?
It's yeah.
Huh.
Don't listen to him.
Buying no shows feels more like the sign of weakness to me. Like,
Oh
I
wow!
can just sweat in these
right through
shoes.
the
I'm
heart.
a man.
My shoes should smell like death.
See, like
Yep,
that just makes me
pretty
think
much.
that you're uncomfortable, and I feel bad for you now. Like,
I just ditch them as soon as they become uncomfortable. So
oh, fair enough. Okay, yeah.
we'll see if the
That works.
listeners can guess.
Fixes the problem.
Yeah. No. We'll go ahead. $5 cash prize to whoever can tell when in the podcast Jeff takes off his shoes. So there's some incentive to keep listening.
I'll let you know.
Well, Jeff, let's talk about your primary. How did it go, bud?
Well, I didn't necessarily have a primary. There were no other libertarians who filed, so I was the only libertarian in the field. So I got a bye.
So he won. He got the
yes,
political bedlam
yes.
bump.
Woo!
Yes, the Bedlam bump.
The Bedlam
I like
bump.
that. Colbert bump. We're coming for you. But So I'm looking forward to the general. I thought there were two great Republican nominees who weren't the incumbent. Unfortunately, neither of them got a large percentage of the vote. So Mike Osborne's probably just going to run on whatever platform he has. I feel like I don't have my website up yet because I still haven't raised all the funds I need to get technological things off the ground. But on my Facebook page, I have quite a few issues, and that whenever people ask me questions or if something comes up, I kind of try to think to add it on there. But like I'm trying to, track down issues pages for the other people so I can try to work on my messaging. But maybe you guys can have Jackie Phillips on here. And she
Yeah,
can-
no, we're
We're working
give
on
you her-
that. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I'm in
no.
talks with her people. So.
Yeah, she and I are supposed to meet up sometime and just kind of.
Cass pretended that he was going to go work for some campaign event for her this last
I
weekend.
had to make an emergency trip to Claremore. I will be at the next event on the 27th. So, yeah.
We're talking about needing a website. Potential sponsor. Have you considered Squarespace?
Or Wick.
No,
not
Reese.
What?
Squarespace.
Sorry,
Squarespace.
Wick.
It's all about Squarespace.
Squarespace, not yeah.
Have you used Wick? Wick is garbage.
No, I just watch YouTube.
We don't want your money, Wick.
Yeah, take your money, Wick. I don't want it. Squarespace is super easy to use, and with plans as low as $9.99 a month, you can host your own website. You can make it about anything. You can make it about you're running for political office. You can make it about dog shoes. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to make it about.
How
shoes are really
customizable are they?
Oh, they're so customizable, and with award-winning templates from industry-leading designers, you can have your website running in no
How
time.
much do you have to spend to get to the templates? I'm genuinely asking.
It's very cheap. It's very cheap.
I'll have to look at it.
Month to month, it's something
I've already
like
got my.
there's like a
domain.
year price for like $9.99 a month for like a personal website, and then there's like month to month, which is like $12. I actually know because I was looking into it for work. Pretty good deal. Yeah, you can start a free trial today by going to www.squarespace.com.
I know what I'm doing when I go home.
Squarespace.
Squarespace.
That's my Mark Maron impression.
That's pretty good. Squarespace. Yeah, send us a free website, and we'll continue to talk about you. that's it for that.
More importantly, we'll continue to trash Wick.
Yeah, we'll continue to trash Wick. Well, next week we'll run an ad all about how just awful Wick is in comparison.
Unless, Wick, if you offer us money, we will take it.
You just said you didn't want it.
I changed my mind.
You're being a little too capitalistic, Cass.
I
think
you know,
need to.
I'm
need
tired.
to remember who you are.
Who knows who I am?
No
It's
one
Monday.
when you think of Wick, the first thing everybody thinks of is
America.
it's the temporary assistance that women get for like
Yeah,
formula and
actually,
stuff.
yeah,
You don't think of the website company, so great brand recognition, Wick. Way to go.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks
In
about
fairness
mothers in need.
To the company, I believe the company's name is Wix.
Okay,
Wow.
yeah.
Well, we
We
didn't
are
even know your
We
name.
are not going to get their money.
We didn't even know your name. You are bad at your job. Anyway.
So you ran uncontested, so you are the candidate for the Libertarian
That's
Party.
correct.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
So at this point, should we just be like throwing out a lot of advertisement for the Libertarian candidate, right? Just because you are the only Libertarian candidate and you would win.
If you support, I mean,
Well, we're having the Democratic candidate on.
well, yeah, and I'd encourage that. I would.
He likes the
If
Democratic
the incumbent
Sure.
wants to
Yeah.
come on the show too,
We're not a big
would be
fan of
okay
the
with that.
incumbent.
I mean, here's the thing. I feel like if a third-party candidate is going to have any shot of actually winning a race, it would be in somewhere like Oklahoma, right? And I mean,
No.
No?
I think
Really?
I think
Yeah.
Oklahoma's
I
too
feel like Oklahoma.
right. It's too red. It's
I do.
too much of a
Okay, well,
Republican
hear me
stronghold.
out. Hear me out. I think Oklahoma is a much easier place to hold a grassroots movement, right? Like you could get your
'Cause it's
district.
smaller
True.
scale.
Yeah, you
That's
can get,
true.
You
On
can get your
paper,
the
yeah.
focus on community and just the
Yeah, I mean, if you're
I
just trying
respect
to
it might have
win
a
your
few
district, then
arguments
like I mean, forgive the ignorance here. I don't know what you were running for.
State House Representatives, 81st District.
Okay,
right
well
here in
then
Edmonton.
yeah, you just need to like
81.
nail. You need to nail your district with just like libertarian propaganda, basically, and say like
Whoa.
Republicans haven't been winning, Democrats haven't been winning. Vote Libertarian. It doesn't matter who it is.
The
Just
Republicans have
just
been winning.
Not
happens
your
to be-
district, by the way.
Let's.
You are
Yeah,
right
okay.
outside of Jeff's district.
Am I?
They have been winning elections.
The
That's-
Republicans have
that
been
is
winning.
accurate.
Okay, sure, they've been winning, yeah. But I mean, like,
Have
is
you-
anyone
that's
happy
the
with the
question.
Republican
Sure.
Party right now?
And I mean, the
Actually-
hard part is honestly sometimes just even getting your foot in the door.
And listen, that's just branding
Especially-
at this point, right? We
I
don't
mean-
talk about what wins elections, branding, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, like, rebrand yourself as something that's not of the, current
No,
political
absolutely.
spectrum,
I think you're right. I mean, like,
which I assume
I
is
mean,
why you're
obviously-
libertarian in the first place.
well, I mean, it also just kind of how I view things
Yeah.
on a lot of subjects. But
Does your district go all the way to Broadway? I'm trying to figure
it's
out.
basically so it's the train tracks that go through Edmond. It basically follows Broadway, but it's really the train tracks is the actual physical boundary over to like
You might be in this
Coltrane,
district.
Danforth down to the Turnpike.
I am.
Well, there you go.
I am. Well, does it end at, like, Broadway Extension? Where is that? Like, how far south do you go?
It goes all the way down to the Turnpike.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm in your district. Okay.
Yeah.
So earn his vote.
Everyone
Look
in my
out.
apartment complex will be voting Libertarian.
There you go.
So,
Well,
that's
here's
fine.
the thing.
Candace.
Yeah, you can't earn my vote. I don't know about Chandler. I know Chandler's not voting for the Republican, so you might get Chandler's, but you can earn Reese's vote today.
There you go.
So let's go for that.
I just like to know people. You already got my vote.
Well, there we go. That's the political
I think-
system in action.
I think that's about the status of my campaign
Yeah.
at the moment. Like, people will wander in November 6th.
Big area.
It is my son's 5th birthday on election day, so
Okay.
I'm sure there'll be some cute tweet
This would be a
about
great
that.
birthday
That's a
Where I
present.
go,
Also-
yeah, vote
Happy-
for me to make my son happy. You don't
Happy
want to
birthday.
cry, do you?
Happy early birthday, Luke. When is
Yes.
that? Is that November?
November 6th.
Is it Luke or Lucas? What does he prefer?
It depends on the day, man. His
Yeah.
birth certificate says Lucas,
Right.
but he goes by Luke a lot because now my two kids, I'm one letter away from having Luke and Leia, and I'm just living the dream. That feels
Nice.
kind of topical, relevant today. But yeah, I mean, basically, I think right now where I'm at is people will wander in and go, oh, I know that guy, and check the name, and like if that's all that there is,
You know what you should do is you should get a bunch of people who are like adrenaline junkies. You should convince them to climb up to already existing billboards and just tape your face all over those billboards.
Absolutely.
I don't think there's a lot
I
of security
don't
on
think
those.
that.
I don't think that's a winning strategy.
I think it's a good idea.
The Political Bedlam podcast does not support this action in any way, shape, or form.
But Chandler personally does support this action.
That he does not speak for the podcast or cast.
Or the
Reese-
candidate.
I feel like I speak
Reese
for
Smith
Reese.
also, he also supports his action. So half of this podcast supports his action.
I can't, in good faith, as a libertarian, support that sort of action.
That's fine.
Does it violate the NAP?
Yeah, don't interfere with
No,
that transaction.
Oh,
Oh, now I do support it. Destroy all the billboards. Ugh.
Look, see, I'm like I said last time. If I can change some minds on some issues, then I'll consider it a victory for the campaign. And I've won. I've won tonight.
Across the board winning.
But yeah, no, I mean, I'm looking forward to getting out there and actually knocking on doors, shaking hands, and trying to,
Have you identified some neighborhoods that you want to hit?
No, and actually, I spoke to the candidate who ran as Libertarian in 2016, and
You want to do the opposite of what they did?
well, I mean, I'd like to expand on the gains he made.
Right.
See, he's
sure.
a natural politician, everybody.
Well, I just, I mean, we got about like 6 or 7% of the vote. Like,
Did you really get that much? I'm actually impressed at that.
I think in the precinct it was somewhere between, I want to say 4.5% to 7%. I know, like we had to hit 5 statewide to stay politically viable and stay on the ballot, and I know we surpassed that. But I want to say he got about. He did better than I thought he would in Edmond. I mean, he had about 1,100, 1,200 votes.
What was his name?
Steve Long.
Steve Long.
Ballotpedia definitely has those numbers. But yeah, I messaged him and asked if there were any libertarian hotbeds in Edmond that I needed to tap into, and he assured me that I...
Probably just isolated bunkers all throughout Edmond.
Emphasis on the word bunker.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, so you've seen the new rules for 788's dispensaries? The
I certainly have, yeah.
Are they bunkers?
Guys,
That's
we're so
pretty cool.
close. I talked about a great place to grow. I think that was included in the last episode, but
I think so too.
we're getting there.
So 788 passed. I imagine that's feels like a huge win for you. I mean, I don't think anyone in this room is against it. But
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, like, and kind of like what he was saying is in terms of branding, like, and he's saying like he thought that a third party could do well because there is this whole kind of
Mistrust.
just wild hair in there.
Anti-establishment,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So if you can get in there, I mean, it's hard to campaign and say all the politicians or all the incumbents are terrible because 2 years later, if everything goes right, you're going to have
You're
to be
the
out there being
incumbent,
like,
yeah.
incumbents know what they're doing,
Yeah.
So I just read this statistic talking about it was on Reddit, but it was this Oklahoma Reddit page.
Sure.
Okay, so like they posted this statistic about voter turnout for the Oklahoma vote for 788, and it was Democrats were up 138%, Republicans were up something like 88%, right? So there are a bunch of people out there who are now very inclined to vote, but they're also very uneducated about it.
Well, they were inclined to vote because of 788.
Exactly, yeah. But
well,
here's
but
the
now
thing.
they're still registered.
Yeah, and
that's
now they're
something
like, it was that easy, and now there's change, so I am much more excited to vote now. I think that's something
absolutely.
that this vote really
like,
took.
seeing a result can really have an effect on someone, when they're voting for something. Everyone likes to support a winner.
Well, and having said that, I think that like you could take this opportunity to kind of take advantage of that.
Yeah, no,
Really,
I agree. I mean, I plan to try to find the places where I would be able to sell a message, and that's the thing. One of the things that I've kind of turned a focus toward is now that 788 is passed, I publicly supported it both on personal and campaign pages, and now that it's passed, like the new focus in terms of protecting the state question is to make sure that we get legislators in there who will pass laws that roll back some of these regulations if we find out they're too restrictive. We have these
I'd like to
THC
throw
level
out
limits
that
set.
there should be a similar turnout in November because there's apparently a petition going around for recreational in Edmond.
Oh,
you can
too
sign it.
soon.
You can sign it at Vapor Express off of Broadway. I know that, but apparently that's been going around. If they collect 140,000 signatures or something, it will go.
Hasn't that been going around since like 1980 though?
Well, I mean, the medical was first, and now recreational.
But I mean, I'm kind of with Cass. I think it's a little too soon.
Just look at people out
frankly,
there
I
to
mean,
vote.
there's the notion of striking while the iron is hot. But even if we were to get the signatures, I don't even know who our current Attorney General is. But there's no way he wouldn't pull the same page from Scott Pruitt's playbook and
Buy a
try
mattress from
to
Trump Tower.
kick it down the road and
No.
make it a primary for
Yeah.
2020 or even a special election sometime in 2019 to try, because I mean, I honestly think that setting the vote on a primary day was designed to depress turnout. I genuinely believe that. There's no proof to it, but I believe they figured that primary
I wouldn't disagree with you.
races in Oklahoma, I mean, primary voters tend to, demographically, they're usually older, more conservative, because those are the hardcores, the ones who want to get out there and
The
vote, and they
T3s.
have the time, right?
Right.
And so that's the thing. I mean, like, I think that anyone who were to look at that on paper would say, yeah, I would think that putting it on a primary day would harm the chances of that passing. And there were people who, didn't get registered who they registered June 2nd or whatever, and it's like, yeah, that would have been fine for November, but not for for the primaries. But
let's prove that 788 does no harm, and because we know it won't. We know it won't do anything bad. So.
Well, I mean, we can't. I mean, if we're setting the bar, it won't do anything bad. We're gonna lose because the second anything even
remotely bad
tangentially
happens,
connected to it, it's gonna blow up.
Someone drives into a stop sign.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is exactly why we did. So I mean, that's the thing. Like, I would posit that many of the things that opponents feared happening are already happening. Of course, we don't want people driving while they're high. Well, the people who smoke illegally are probably going to be driving while they're under the influence of that. Like, the political podcast and the candidate probably don't support that behavior. Candidate definitely does not.
Not at all. Driving under the influence is very irresponsible.
It's definitely. That. I mean, so that's the thing. So we can't set the bar so low that the first time anything pops up, whether it's genuine or not, that it's a victory for the opponents. I mean, the thing is that they're basically saying that the sky is going to fall. That I don't know how many times I would wade into a comment section on Facebook and just see people saying that the population will be too stoned to vote, work, think, do anything.
I think this is all part.
This is all a part of a government operation. This is a Soros-funded. I've been told I'm an enemy of liberty for supporting State Question 788. And at that point, I'm really wondering when we jump the shark and if we can reset the simulation. But
got that right.
So I think the focus needs to be on finding candidates who support State Question 788, the purpose of it, if not necessarily every word in it, but these limitations on just like concentrations of THC in edibles and tinctures, and it's it just looks it's a whole lot of government putting its hands on something that hasn't even had a chance to get on its own 2 feet, and they're already meddling with it and trying to impose the way they would have wanted it, and none of that stuff was into the in the state question. None of it was in the verbiage that was voted on. So it's just frustrating, and I think there needs to be a focus to put legislators in office who are willing to, author legislation to roll these things back, roll back these regulations. If, the Department of Health is going to impose these arbitrary limits, we call for research in State Question 788. Fine, let's do the research, and let's see what potency really does for different patients, if we're going to try to say that it's for, patient protection or something like that. And, obviously, I support things like strict identifying rules for making sure kids don't get into it or anything like that who aren't supposed to. None of that. I don't have any problems with it, but there's just a lot of this, like the infrastructure is fine. But I think, getting ahead of ourselves and trying to regulate, we're basically trying to make the same mistake with medical marijuana that we've made with alcohol. We're trying to say like, hey, we'll be the 3.2 state of medical marijuana, and I would support modernizing liquor laws too. So if you're for that,
hey, we just came around to that actually. Yeah, we finally ended prohibition in Oklahoma in 2018. Like officially ended prohibition. So that's nice.
Well,
we weren't allowed to buy liquor in stores up until like 1980. I just recently discovered that. The liquor laws were so intense you had to actually bring your liquor or beer or whatever to an establishment, and then a server there had to pour it for you. You weren't allowed to buy liquor in any restaurant. Yeah, you had to take your
BYOB, huh?
Yeah, that was basically basically BYOB.
People join country clubs for a reason.
Yeah. Actually.
And speaking of prohibition and that ending, well, I mean, with the limitations being what they are, as long as you have a medical card in the state, it's recognized in almost all the states that have a medical program. Oh. So you could go to a Colorado dispensary. I mean,
that's really nice to know.
It'd be terrible to have to go all that way, but the state questions set out how much you can transport, and it's a bit.
If you happen to be in Colorado, it's nice to know you get a discount, though.
Right. But what I'm saying is that basically, if Oklahoma doesn't create products that are actually going to help the patients the way they need, then we're going to have the exact same problem that we had beforehand, except it'll evolve because we'll be seeing Oklahomans going to Colorado
with
buying products in bulk, driving back across the border, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If Oklahoma is going to set
it's just a problem for Oklahoma, right? That's just us losing money.
I see that being
that's a problem.
that level becoming problematic because
drink. He said problematic.
Oh,
drink.
Is this a thing?
Yeah.
Well, I do. I mean,
you're right. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt your flow. My
fine.
apologies.
No, because I just think it will lead to an ability for police officers to, obstruct the enforcement of this law. They'll say, well, that looks like it's over set THC limits. There's nothing they can prove that on.
Why
There's
don't you
nothing
smoke
that
it
you
and
can
try,
use to
officer?
disprove it.
We'll talk for a second.
Sure, exactly. But so even if they take it, say you have an ounce or two on you, you get pulled over, they confiscate it, you get it back 2 or 3 weeks later, but that's still just, it's just an obstacle that can be thrown up to abrogate people's rights, to make sure that, people...
mindless bureaucracy.
Right. Well, that's how the political system works, though, right? Like, little incremental changes, you know what I mean? And this is just
because
like
that's the thing.
first step.
If they set the THC limit for what is medical, anything over that is necessarily recreational.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to,
And that's
draw some line in the sand that, may or may not need to exist, but probably not nearly as close as they've said it. So I just see a lot of potential issues with enforcement of these kind of arbitrary limits. And I think it's going to result in more people getting arrested than we thought on the election night.
I think
whenever
you're right.
we passed it.
Well, let's switch gears. Let's talk about something that's wildly popular but mediocre.
But also not polarizing.
Yeah, the 2.5 Men of modern sci-fi blockbusters, The Last Jedi.
Wow. Oh,
Wait,
that's
Charlie
right.
Sheen or Ashton Kutcher?
Ashton Kutcher.
Okay.
That's hateful. That's hateful.
Is there a
Is
there a worse star than Ashton Kutcher? Because it would be that.
Not
Maybe
not
just
Two
maybe
and a Half
maybe
Men.
2.5 Men with just the kid. That would be The Last Jedi.
Half a
Wow.
man. Half a man.
Yeah, half of it.
If that criticism can be levied at any Star Wars film, it's The Phantom Menace.
No,
Oh.
not even close.
Now this is pod
It's like you guys have forgotten what it was like in the 90s when those were the Star Wars we had.
We
I
were
don't know,
children.
I meant to talk to you about this. I rewatched The Last Jedi fairly recently, and actually going through it again, I liked it considerably more than I did the first.
But it still wasn't a good movie, right?
Well,
That's exactly what I thought.
New conversion
think
right
that
here.
The more you watch it, the more you're like, okay, you know what? This kind of
Because
is relatable.
it's dealing with themes that Star Wars has never dealt with before.
It is. It really is, actually.
Yes.
Like,
Yes!
there
Yes,
were-
it's happy.
there
And
were
this
a
is what
few
needs
points-
to happen for the series to stay relevant. If they
Kinda,
don't
yeah.
drop the tropes, then we're
Yeah.
just going to watch the same 3 or 4 movies over and
that's-
over and over
You
again.
keep making sense like you are right now, I might vote for you.
And
No
that's-
promises.
Just vote for me based on my position on Star Wars.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a great Star Wars movie. See,
And
I
maybe-
think you and I think the same. Probably the different thing. You'd probably say it was a good Star Wars movie, but a crappy movie. But I think it was not a
I'd
great.
say neither.
Okay, well, fine. But I would say that it doesn't. It's not a great Star Wars film. Some dude I went and saw it at 8 or 9 on that Thursday night. Some guy in my showing got up and walked out right around the
Have
time
mine, too.
Ray was doing her snapping bit and was like, "Gosh, can't wait for another Star Wars movie to come out."
The guy
Basically
walked
threw his
out of mine
popcorn at
whenever
the screen
Leia
and
became
stormed
a
out.
Superhero.
Jokes on
I-
him. 10 minutes later, Yoda shows up. So.
I would rather watch 3.5 hours of Jar Jar outtakes than watch
I would
The
love
Last
to
Jedi
watch
again.
3.5 hours of Jar. Do you have 3.5 hours of Jar
I wish
Jar
they were
outtakes?
there, and I wish they'd put them out and just called it The Last Jedi.
At Jabba Best, hook us up.
What is it?
At Jabba Best, he's the actor. And,
Oh.
Could take it for a serious note for a second. He recently talked about how he considered
Suicide.
suicide.
Yeah, and now
backlash
he's-
to his performance.
Well,
same
Take a
thing
risk
with
as a-
Little did he know that 2 decades later, someone named Rose Tico would come around and just take all the heat off of him.
So sad.
Backing off from Rose for a second, let's talk about how Star Wars fans have ruined the lives of so many people
I
involved
was
in
just
Star
about to
Wars.
say Jake Lloyd.
Jake
The kid
Lloyd.
who played Anakin in Episode 1, and I can't say I blame him, but I remember 5-6 years ago he got arrested because some dude was just taunting him,
Wait,
and so
what?
he beat him up.
Tell me the story. I have
He
not
gave
heard
in
the
to
story.
the power of the dark side, and he sought to destroy his antagonizer.
Wait, okay, so how'd this work? Did he take a baseball bat to his car? Or?
No, I think
He
he
hit
was
him with
just-
his pod.
I think
He made him numb. Is that what happened? He just numbed him up with.
he deployed C-3PO in defense mode
Okay.
because
Oh,
They're just something that exists.
Oh,
Thank you,
crap.
prequels. For some reason, you just decided to throw that in there.
I need to make a quick announcement. I just got a text. The subreddit Thanos Did Nothing Wrong did its big ban today. Its
Yeah,
big
they
half
did.
ban in term of perfect balance. They banned half their members, and my buddy just texted me he got snapped. He's
Did he?
gone.
I need to look and see if
That's
I got snapped,
hysterical.
actually.
Yes,
That is really profoundly funny.
perfectly balanced as all things should be.
Um,
But back to a different.
for 10 seconds because someone's given birth at the moment of the snap, right?
Well, we talked about a series that has exciting installments, and now let's go back to Star Wars.
I'm still
Daisy
in.
Ridley had to get rid of her Twitter. The actress who played Rose, whose name I'm looking up right now,
Kelly Marie Tran.
Kelly Marie Tran, was
I hate the
mercilessly
movie. You should
bullied.
know her name.
Why was she because she was
because people didn't
People
like
hated her
Rose.
character.
That one is suspicious. A lot of people are like, "What on that
you
one?"
conspiracy theorist.
No, because there really wasn't any proof. Whenever Ray did it, there were screenshots and people were they pointed out specific people.
And she was just I'm sad.
I don't think it's a conspiracy, but people
I have
think-
watched a YouTube video excoriating the film The Last Jedi, who referred to her only as the fat Asian bitch.
Ouch.
Wow.
Direct quote. So, she may not have been able to screenshot that, but there is definitely venom.
What does
profanity
Now,
was
can we
standing.
also-
They have a point.
Just like
Can
you
we
have
also
a feeling
talk
you're
about
in
how it-
principal's office and you done messed up?
Yeah.
That I think would
the-
probably be the best way to just on the receiving end of just
We can also talk about how it ruined George Lucas's life. George Lucas, the maker of probably the greatest blockbuster of all time, Star Wars, is disillusioned with filmmaking.
Well,
you stole his soul,
after
Star Wars
Last Jedi.
fans.
well,
I would
to be
disillusioned
fair,
Yeah, he made some terrible movies.
he outkicked his coverage on the first one.
Do we remember
Empire.
the Young Indiana Jones series?
The second one was by
No.
far the worst.
No. Hold on. No, I'm not talking about Indiana
Attack of
Jones
the
at all.
Clones.
Was way worse. Than
Oh,
that.
it's always going to be bottom of the list.
Everyone has to remember.
It has some
George
really good
Lucas
moments.
in Indiana Jones. He did that. That was his thing, right? That was entirely his baby. There were also an additional 15 Indiana Jones movies that no one really talks about, documenting young Indiana Jones and his exploits.
Yes, I recall seeing those in Blockbuster.
They were basically the
Hollywood
Boxcar
Video.
Children come to life.
Well, that was a TV show.
No, it wasn't. They were movies.
There was a TV show.
They were hour and a half long TV shows then. They
Maybe
were
three-parters.
I'm in some
They were-
Berenstain paradox where I remember both of these,
they were long
terrifying.
and they were all bad. Because I watched a solid 15 of them.
Well, they were the conceit behind the Young Indiana Jones TV show was that it was supposed to be educational, and you were supposed to learn a lot. I've never seen
all the
I don't know if
Doctor
they're
Who's
good.
origin.
Exactly like Doctor
Kind
Who's
of.
origin.
Well,
yeah.
let's get back. Speaking of Boxcar Children, let's talk about the knee-high slaves from the end of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Just how it all made us feel.
Broom Kid.
Broom Kid, yeah, no.
They just feel inspired.
There's
There's hope for the galaxy.
It made
Did
me,
it really
it
make
made
you
me want to
inspired?
clean my kitchen, is what it did. And I felt like I would
That
be
sounds
able-
appropriate. That's
I would be
as
able
much
to
as it
do
inspired
so
me.
with the Force.
But the thing is the kid matters for the same reason Rey matters, and that's
not at all.
Yes.
No,
because
it matters
Which is the point?
symbolically.
Which is the point, right?
It
Like,
matters
yeah.
symbolically.
Yeah, exactly. That's
That-
the point.
that might not be
He's
a
not,
character.
Rey
No one's
wasn't
saying that.
That she came from nowhere. And she's going to become very important. I think that's pretty cool.
I don't know that they're actually going to refer back to his character in the future or anything quite like that. But that's the thing. Luke was talking about how the Force belongs to everyone, and even going to the Legends and expanded universe that's been retconned. But just think about first of all, consider the Jedi Order at its height in the prequels. How many people from how many different worlds were essentially, recruited into this monastic warrior order?
Selfish.
For no reason other than they had the Force, and so
I do think it's kind of odd that
these people happen is what I'm saying. There
Right,
are people
right,
who,
for sure.
and
Everyone
for
accepted that just Anakin was the chosen one, right? That all of a sudden he is, the renowned Jesus Christ, right? We all were fine with accepting that in the Phantom Menace, okay? And now all of a sudden we're super upset whenever.
To be fair, I was 7.
Sure, yeah.
So
we
the
were all
suspension of
very
disbelief was more of a.
we were all very
what did he say?
indoctrinable
But,
at the time. Yeah, but that's more or less what happened, right? And none of us, I don't know, even the.
I think the canon explanation is probably having to do with Darth Plagueis or someone like that using the Force to initiate cell regeneration.
Really? Because I
Yeah,
had not.
that's
That
more
sounds
EU
right
stuff,
before.
but
That
Is that
sounds
actual
right for
canon?
before Disney acquired
Right,
the
right,
property.
right. No,
It
I don't
doesn't matter if it's not in the movies.
Not true.
That's not true because there are shows and books that are now.
I don't know, and I do feel like there is a lot of.
I don't watch
stuff
them.
that- do we have a?
We do.
Thank you.
Well, let's just talk about plot holes that just ruined that dismal movie.
I'm having deja vu.
Yeah, no, we're going to talk about it again. Let's just mention the fact that Yoda, when he calls down the lightning and he burns the whole temple, If Force Ghosts can use powers like that, why didn't they use them all throughout the sequels or the original series and prequels?
Because they weren't
Consider
Yoda.
how much more powerful with the Force Yoda has become.
Straight up.
Yoda is not your average Force user.
Yeah.
Qui-Gon Jinn's not
Yoda
going to
was
show
a-
up and use Force
Yoda
lightning.
was a Force Ghost in the original one. Like,
Yeah.
he died at the end of 2. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
No.
He died at the beginning of
At the-
6.
That's correct.
is that true?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Because he
either
goes
or.
back to Dagobah to confront Yoda about the whole, like, you could have mentioned he was my dad thing.
And he was like,
And
I'm old.
Yoda confirms that, yes, Vader is your father. And then,
But you don't need to be such a little girl about it.
well,
Well, that's
So back to
You
Ryan
said
Johnson.
hashtag problematic.
Back to
Drink.
Ryan Johnson ruining Star Wars themes. Yeah, let's.
but so my point is that it's been about 30 years since the end of the original trilogy.
And that like somehow means you got more powerful in death. Is like
What-
linear
what-
time a thing in death?
What does Yoda call death? Do not mourn those who are reunited with the Force. He's like it's this very nirvanic concept. When you die, you return to this ether, to this all-powerful force that surrounds, binds, and penetrates us.
So you're saying he
I
makes
know you
progress
said you don't want
throughout.
people to vote for you based on like your Star Wars knowledge, but like
So you're saying
I think you might adjust your platform.
you're saying he's made progress in death as like how does that work?
I'm
Well, because
saying
you
that
can
essentially-
meditate further as
that complete
hold on.
nonsense.
I would like to. I like this. I like this because there is some kind of like Hindu principle, right? That if you like maintain some kind of sense of enlightenment. Oh, really? We're cutting it now.
No, I'm just saying I'm done.
Oh, okay. All right, that's fine. But if you like maintain some sort of enlightenment while you're still alive, that after death you still maintain some form of consciousness and can continue meditating and achieving a further enlightenment. And so yeah, like maybe if Yoda was like the ultimate master, maybe after death, yeah, he still like maintains a form of consciousness enough to continue meditating and growing and becoming more in tune with the Force, right? Like why not?
You all watch movies so differently than I do.
well, I mean, I don't
Yeah,
necessarily
clearly. You
agree
like
with
The
what
Last
he's
Jedi.
saying.
Yeah.
Because like
the movies.
all that aside, what I'm saying is basically when you're alive, if you have, I mean, thanks to George Lucas, if you have enough midi-chlorians, you can tap into the Force and you can guide it and you can channel it.
Can I get super nerdy for a second?
Go for it.
Now, again, I don't do any of the extra stuff, but in the movies, midichlorians do not give you the Force. They are attracted to the Force. So measuring them is like measuring the amount of white blood cells you have. White blood cells are not cancer or
Sure.
a disease. They exist because you have a disease in your body. Midichlorians are just attracted
That's
to
fair.
Force.
They don't generate the Force.
That is fair,
They-
and I it's very big of you.
No,
to-
if I'm gonna get all
No,
like,
for sure.
the
Yeah, no.
canon, then
Let
I
me-
can't just reject
by
that
all
out
means,
of hand.
by all means.
But that's the thing. You were able to channel that Force. You were able to tap into that.
Right.
If you die and you return to that Force, how much greater is your ability to channel it going to be? I'm just saying. I don't.
No,
think
I'm
it's
on your side.
Preposterous.
No. Okay.
Producer chiming in.
You're describing the Force as a parasitic, one of us monsters.
It's
that just-
symbiotic.
Yeah.
It's not parasitic.
Syn-
It's not parasitic. It's symbiotic.
Well, if you read George Lucas's scripts for 7, 8, 9, it is a parasite, but that's neither here nor
It
there.
doesn't count if it's not in the movie.
Yeah, that's right. He gets it.
And if we can reject anything that George Lucas wrote after about the end of Return of the Jedi, I'd push that button.
Fair. No, I'm here with you.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's fair to say Ryan Johnson ruins Star Wars. I mean,
It's absolutely fair to say Ryan Johnson ruined Star Wars.
so you're saying you will not go see Episode 9.
Well, he's not going to be directing it, so I might go see it.
But so like,
Once his trilogy comes out, no, I will not see it.
I feel like he reinvigorated the franchise, and I'm actually more excited than I ever would have
I
been
have
otherwise.
never hated you more. I will be outside.
get the TIE Fighter warmed up.
I will be outside of his trilogy, like Westboro Baptist Church, picketing, just with a sign. Find something
The
to
sad
say.
thing is you
God
won't be
hates
alone.
something.
Like
Oh
if
my
you
gosh,
just
ain't
set
that
up,
the truth?
if you just set up out there, someone who bought tickets would actually be like, you know what? I'm just gonna
I'm
stand
with
next
this guy.
to him. My movie doesn't start for another 3 hours. I was gonna sit in the theater, but you know,
I'm going to
whatever.
protest Westboro
You know what I'm saying? I'm
style.
flexible.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
For me, it goes in order from lowest to highest.
Wait,
Hitler,
are we gonna- hold on.
Stalin, Ryan Johnson.
Oh my God.
He's really high
I
up.
thought you were
I
gonna give
actually
a ranking
appreciate
on-
that you put Hitler below Stalin. Thank you.
Yeah, no. Hitler, Stalin, Ryan Johnson, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, it's really amazing how you can.
3, 2, 1.
It's really amazing how you can. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, both fail at nostalgia and new elements to the series at the same time. I would have thought it was impossible, really reaching new lows in filmmaking.
You heard it here first. Breaking news. Trump taps Brett Kavanaugh
Dang
as his
it!
second Supreme Court pick.
No, not Kavanaugh.
Chandler is not a happy pappy.
He wants to be Kavanaugh. Gross. Oh, let's just pick another swing vote. Like Kennedy, man.
If Trump is willing to maintain the balance of the court, it would make me think much higher of him.
Nope, we're backing it. We're
That's
backing
all I'll say. Let's return to Star Wars.
I don't know anything about Kavanaugh, but I find your claims that he's a swing vote highly dubious because Kennedy wasn't really a swing vote.
Well, let's say that he's more of a swing vote than the other people he had on the short list.
That might be true.
Let's just say that.
Fair.
Relatively speaking.
One of his lower circuit rulings paved the way for Justice Roberts' decision in the individual mandate for Obamacare or the ACA. Anyway, that's enough politics for this week. We're done with it.
Only of the
back to terrible opinions with Cass and Jeff. Cass and Jeff, you got any more terrible opinions?
I like to shave against the grain.
That sounds about right. That sounds like a Last Jedi.
You get closer. You do. I mean, and if it doesn't cause any acne, I don't know why you wouldn't. But like my thing is, I get really bad acne down here, so I can't shave against the grain. Like I've tried, and it does feel better like immediately after, and like for the first day afterwards. But
then you break out.
Yeah,
I'm really lucky. I don't break out when I shave against the grain.
Really?
Yeah.
How? Do you do anything, or you just don't break out?
I use shaving cream.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're not just like using a sharpened rock in like water, right?
I mean, I have before.
I used a piece of glass once.
I believe it.
When I was in jail. Yeah. That was a great week actually.
I
learned a lot
box
about
cutter
myself.
Once when I worked at a body shop.
Wow.
Okay, that's scary. Because like I was terrified.
Kind of badass.
I mean, like I didn't do it. I can't sit here and say like I did my entire face. Like this isn't the salty spittoon. I'm not trying to prove I'm tough on you.
How'd you do it? I mean, did you like grab the hair and then like?
Yeah, I mean, like
I
did basically like just this part that would fuzz out above my.
I've never seen Chandler so perturbed.
Notice the complete lap. What am I saying?
Laps.
Notice the complete lack of astonished gasps from Chandler hearing the Last Jedi fans describe bizarre shaving methods.
We recommend Harry's, by the way. I think Harry's.
We recommend Harry's?
We recommend Harry's over Dollar Tree.
Okay, well, Harry's does make their blades straight from Germany. They're very, very high class. They bought a classic razor company that has been doing it since the 1800s from Germany.
And as a Harry's, I use it on my head. So if their razor's meant for your face, can shave my head, and other than the top of my head, I have very thick hair, and I've never had a closer, better shave, and the price is just unbeatable. I get my razors delivered once, I think, every third month, and they last forever, and I honestly don't need to replace them that often. I do for the convenience of it, but they are good razors, and Harry's Shave Cream is the best. So if you want a close, good shave that's convenient, I highly recommend it.
Do you have to turn in your Ancom card every time you do like?
Let me hear you. Let me hear you. Let me tell you something. The second I make any amount of money, my ideology is gone.
Well, okay. Well, that's fair.
Let's end it for Harry's. Harry's product so intuitive, even Last Jedi fans can use them.
Oh my god.
Good lord.
Okay, well,
I mean, like you brought up the lightning from Yoda's Force Ghost, and that's pretty much been like the only actual critique of anything in the film.
How much time you got?
Yeah, no, don't.
No, really.
I mean,
actually.
Oh, here we go.
Like,
we went over a lot of it in the last film, and you agreed with me over a lot of it in the last film.
I did.
Did he heard my sound?
Well, yeah, no.
Arguments.
Well, okay, I was going to say your sound. Your voice is very sultry.
Yeah, not sound arguments.
That's most of it.
Thank you kindly. Charisma check.
Also,
Absolutely.
having said that, okay, I would like this to be,
Natural 20.
Did you like 7 better than 8?
Yes,
okay.
But not by much.
Right, okay, and here's, I
accepted 7 for what it was. It was rebooting it for the next generation.
Right, and like, if you would accept this critique, I think it would go a lot towards my argument. I think, as a true Star Wars fan, you were more comfortable seeing a reboot of what was the original Star Wars rather than them taking risks for the newer generation.
I wanted them to take risks. I just didn't like the risks they take, and I didn't like how it was executed.
Right, yeah, which, I mean, like, And here's why I think that like they had to
But
go
that
so
doesn't
far.
make it a bad movie.
Right, which is kind of the point, right? Is like just because it wasn't a Star Wars movie doesn't make it necessarily a bad movie. And
it didn't need to be a Star Wars movie. It was just the 8th Star Wars film. I guess that makes a lot of sense.
No, I mean, like, and that's the thing is like I think there was a lot of criticism from 7, right, about it being too much of a reboot. Like they literally had a bigger Death Star, and they had like I don't know, like
Han Solo practically broke the fourth wall like Jim in the office and said, "There's got to be a way to blow it up.
Right.
There's always a way to blow it up."
Yeah, like it was a
that
joke,
actually happened.
and I think that's
And
why.
you're saying The Last Jedi was worse
It was
than
way
that?
worse. It
Like,
was
and
way
I
worse.
think that like the risk reward ratio here is that they were taking some really big new like they were maybe this is what they were doing. They were throwing a bunch of spaghetti at the wall and seeing what stuck, right?
Yeah. The Force Awakens took no risks, and it was okay.
Right.
The Last
And
Jedi
then-
took a ton of really bad
Well, and-
risks, and it was bad.
And I think the Last Jedi, depending on what happens with Episode 9, is probably always going to be like overlooked because if you think about it,
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams wasn't supposed to do Episode 9.
No, it's supposed to be Trevorrow, who
The guy-
did Jurassic World.
Jurassic World.
Yeah, but the fan backlash and the Rotten
Oh, I
Tomatoes
was
ratings of
thinking
8
Danny
was
Trejo.
so bad, he took the ratings back to
I
9.
think they took it away from Trevorrow because he directed a film that made no money.
Can we petition to
I
get
can't
Danny
remember.
Trejo to direct the Star Wars episode?
He's not a director, but I'm here for
He
it.
couldn't-
No,
I was
let's
gonna
make
say,
it happen.
Machete
Couldn't be worse
meets
than
Star
Ryan
I
Wars.
would watch Machete Star Wars.
Couldn't be worse than Ryan
Such a-
Johnson. I would watch it.
Okay, Danny Trejo, if you're out there, we're on your side, man.
Tarantino.
Oh, okay.
I would watch a Tarantino Star Wars movie.
Brad Bird. Brad Bird is the perfect person to direct a Star Wars film.
Yep.
He's the
I'm
guy who
with
did The
it.
Incredibles.
Oh.
He would be.
And if you haven't
perfect
seen
for
The
it.
Incredibles 2,
I
it's
need
the
to.
best
I haven't.
superhero movie you haven't
I
seen.
haven't.
Yeah, okay.
Legit.
You know, he turned down Force Awakens.
Really?
So yeah, but that would be my
Oh.
top choice because he could
I bet
totally.
he was
that
just
was
too
probably a smart
intimidating.
move for him.
For him, yeah,
honestly.
because you can't satisfy people.
Yeah, but,
That's fair. I think that like the new Star Wars trilogy was doomed to fail from its inception.
I don't think it's failed. I think there's
Well,
one movie that people are
it was doomed to
they
get
like.
way too much criticism.
One movie that people love or hate, and then the third one's going to break the tie.
The second one is supposed to be, like, at least if they're following in the vein of the original trilogy. The Empire Strikes Back was the best movie. And The Last Jedi was...
And The Attack of the Clones is the best prequel. Wait.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so there's not necessarily a pattern.
The Attack of the
Unpopular
Clones was
opinion.
not great.
No, Attack of the Clones is a terrible movie. It's my favorite of the three.
Okay, well, that...
But
that
no,
is-
I'm acknowledging
that is
it's a bad
bonkers.
movie.
That is bonkers that is your favorite of the three.
There are some good moments in there. I think. Some
Sure, but
I
Revenge
love
of the
the
Sith
I
is
love
by
the
far
battle
the best
I like the
prequel.
battle
in the
scenes.
Colosseum
Yeah.
when he's like, "Don't worry, Padme," and she's already on top of the pillar, and then in the next movie she does nothing for some reason. I don't know. That's another conversation.
But I just had this conversation with a friend about Padme's pregnancy and how it impacted Luke and Leia. And that's the thing, because like her love and her light towards Anakin is what was carried into her kids. That's why I have this thing about the whole like she's lost the will to live. Like I think a robot misdiagnosed her because he's not a human thing. He can't experience the Force.
Yeah.
I think like she literally, imparted her life force into these kids, and that's the thing. They were these spawn of the chosen one. They consumed her, and
was
they
she
held on to
consumed-
these pieces of her.
Was she consumed because they were like supposedly so powerful, or like why was she dead? Like why did
She was
I mean,
sad.
heartbreak.
She was
First of all,
sad.
it was a very real thing. But that's the thing. Like
they didn't have some like new age Zoloft or something? Like how is this?
you can't put
Come
back
on.
to on feelings. But
Can put back on feelings.
But that's the thing. Like Luke's commitment to believing in Anakin at the end of it is directly reminiscent of his mother's refusal to ever accept that Vader couldn't be
The
reached.
prequel trilogy does some really beautiful, wonderful things that make for a great arc and really inform the characters. However, they're bad movies.
Yeah,
they're
there's
just
a lot-
bad
There's a
movies.
lot of junk around.
Oh,
The
they're
prequels look
poorly
like
made.
3 Citizen Kanes in a row compared to the sequel movies.
I
It's
think-
just
I
Citizen
think-
Kane 1, Citizen Kane 2,
I think you
Citizen
could.
Kane 3.
I feel like
I'm
it would
done
be a
talking
fair
about it.
argument
I'm gonna
make
be
that,
quiet.
I feel like the prequels are great Star Wars movies, but bad overall movies, right? Like
The second one is. That's the only one I'll say.
Because here's the thing: is they didn't really have to do anything special except for tell the story of how Anakin rose to power, right? And the Star
Well,
Wars,
how he fell.
and the Star Wars fandom from whenever they were made, right? Like is based on how I guess, progressive the CGI was. Right?
I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think that they are good Star Wars.
Well,
they're bad.
They're bad movies, sure, without question. But here's
Bad
the thing.
movies.
Here's the thing. They told the story. They did their job, and they did so beautifully. And I don't mean that from a narrative perspective. I mean that from a visual perspective.
Right.
Like Star Wars, the original trilogy, was great because they had lightsabers, they had spaceships, they were doing stuff in space that no one had ever done before.
It was a primal kind of story too that connects with people.
It
Like,
was
even if you
pretty-
took away the special effects, the story's universal.
It was the Odyssey recreated, right?
Yeah,
for space.
yeah.
It was okay.
I mean,
so,
not that exactly, but
kinda,
yes, you got
yeah.
the right.
The hero's journey.
Yeah.
Hero's journey.
It
for
was.
Sure.
It was the same story told 1,000 times over with really pretty
Well,
graphics.
episode 4 is
That's what the original.
self-contained.
That's what the original
It's the only
trilogy
one that
was.
is,
Was
right.
a really tried and true story played over with new CGI. The 1, 2, and 3 were telling like the beginning of that story with really cutting edge CGI. Like whenever those movies came out, they were blowing out on the cartoons and making Jar Jar Binks look awesome, right? Like, and they had that whole Darth Jar Jar thing hidden in there, just in the CGI, just to like make a point to show that they could, right? And having said that, now they're having to branch into new territories and discover new storylines and having to pose new philosophical questions. They're trying to,
And succeeding.
Do or do not.
You're right. There is no.
Oh!
Yeah,
Oh, believe me, Ryan Johnson is the exception to that.
And I mean, like, and that's
You could just
the
say he's not doing
the issue
it.
they're
I mean-
coming across now, right? Like the writers of 1, 2, and 3 didn't have anything to do except for like tell a story that.
I think George wrote almost the entire script.
Right? Yeah. No. I mean, like
Which
Wait,
is
1, 2, and 3. Which one's 1, 2, and 3?
we're talking about
Prequels.
we're talking about 1, 2, and 3.
prequels. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm
We're
so
using
confused.
actual
So,
numbers.
like the story was already written, right? Like they didn't.
Yeah,
have-
yeah, okay, yeah. Then I am on the same page.
Yeah, like
I was
there was
so confused.
There
for a
was
second.
no narrative work to do there. They just had to make it pretty and make the fight scenes look awesome. Because that's all that we liked, right? Like when we saw Yoda pull out his lightsaber and go crazy on Count Dooku, we all pooped our pants. And you're welcome. And like, it was, I don't know, like that was what really did it for us, right? Like it wasn't like the political captivation of like how Count Dooku was like in the shadows for so long and how he created the clone army out of sight of the entire Jedi Council, right? Which were legitimate questions that were posed long after because the Star Wars universe went crazy and was like, hey, we care about this because we have a lot of time on our hands. But
Well, guys, I think we've hit a point. I don't think we're going to get anywhere. Cass and Jeff will continue to be wrong. Reese will continue to be on the fence. I think we're getting close to being able to wrap it up for this week. Thank you for listening. Big shout out to Reese for
his last day on the podcast.
for making this podcast an editing nightmare. Always take a couple of days to
Don't drink and drive, everyone.
Yes.
I'm going home now.
Yes. After Reese's performance, we will be sending him home after however many beers he's going to drink. Jeff,
one
good
more.
luck. We'll try and have you on.
Hey,
another
good
time.
luck, man.
Yeah, I
Good
look
luck.
forward to it. I've got a couple of interviews with some I don't want to call them PACs because I don't know if that's technically what they are, but I mean some organizations that I'm meeting with for candidate screenings.
Get
so,
your campaign money.
yeah,
man. No
hopefully
shame.
I get an endorsement or two, maybe get some volunteers sent my way. But
Yeah, plug something. You got something to plug?
no, I don't have anything to plug just yet.
What's the Facebook page?
Facebook page is, as always, Levy4OK81. Same with Twitter and Instagram.
Spell that for us.
LEVY, the number 4, OK-81.
Man, and if you live in Oklahoma, vote Libertarian. It can't.
Or
hurt you.
don't. You've got options.
Vote
Yeah.
your conscience.
I mean,
but,
vote
you
your
know,
conscience, but your conscience would, if you did some real soul searching, it would probably lean towards the Libertarian.
You could do worse.
I don't know if I can
Mindset.
vouch for the accuracy of that statement.
Do enough soul searching, and you'll find yourself.
Well, like we said last week, we still got some big guests coming up. Cass is going to have one of his leftist buddies on here to.
I'm tired of being outnumbered.
Yep, we're going to have Karl Marx on
I'm
next
on your
week.
side.
Sometimes you're not where it counts.
I don't know.
I
if
like
it's-
The Last Jedi.
It's so disappointing. Guys, thanks for listening. Soul-crushing evening for Chandler.
I'm
but
so sorry.
We're going to have a better one next week.
This is worse than when he found out Germany didn't break through in the World Cup.
Yeah, cared a lot about the World Cup. Good night, everyone.